today. We can be the light, but hip and nothing off. We can be the light, but hip and nothing off. We can be the light, but hip and nothing off. We can be the light, anything. We can be the light, but hip and nothing off. We can be the light, but hip and nothing off. We can be the light, but hip and nothing off. We can be the light, anything. Just for today.
All right, I'll put you on next. All right.
The subject for today, but him king of but him and anything, 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 but him king of I can that but him can be the Lord king of anything, but him king of I can that but him can be the Lord king of anything. The subject for today. We can be the light, but him and nothing off. We can be the light, but him and nothing off. We can be the light, but him and nothing off. We can be the light, anything. We can be the light, but him and nothing off. We can be the light, but him and nothing off. We can be the light, but him and nothing off. We can be the light, anything. Subject for today.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another DaraChat. My name is Daramuth, or Dara for short, because still some people have issue with saying it right, and that's okay. All right, look, I'll still correct, okay, but saying Dara is fine too. It's okay. It's still one of those things. How what is the weapon that the AI wants to use a blower has? Hey, whoa, hey, calm it down there. I have one for that, but it's not this one. And thank you, Jace, for that. But anyway, I get to have on a new person. His name is Digni, which kind of goes with his whole name, to be honest, because he does have a full name, sort of like the shorter name. But anyway, hello, Digni. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm a disembodied voice. Why? Because Rumble Studio doesn't seem to have profile picture capabilities, right? I'm a cartoon. I
Mm,
mean, this platform, this studio is VTuber, PNG tuber phobic,
mm,
folks. Right. This isn't Dara's schizophrenic episode. This is supposed to be and first of all, what a trippy intro that was, Dara. That was absolutely crazy.
mm,
Um but it's great to be here. I hope everyone is doing very well.
mm,
And until Rumble have a system in place where you can use a virtual background or don't need a working camera to work
mm.
to be on, then I'm going to be a disembodied voice. I'm going to be a spirit,
Yeah.
spirit being.
Hey, well, with that though, a spirit can go just about anywhere, so you're not kind of stuck to you're not stuck to the physical form. You are in the ether, and everyone can hear you, not just not just people who have headphones. You're everywhere now. You are everything,
Exactly.
everywhere, and everything. That's what you are, Digny.
But when people watch this replay, they're gonna think Dara is gone insane. He's speaking to no one. Where's the other guy? Well, Rumble doesn't have the feature in place
Uh,
for a VTuber or for a PNG tuber
uh,
to actually appear. So I think
mm.
that's very offensive.
That's right, Jace. That's what I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to God, and He calls Himself Digny. That's what I'm talking to.
Yeah.
The allows for a schizo simulation. There you go. Then you'll have something to really talk about at the dinner table. There was this one guy, and he was talking to the air, and it seemed to work out okay.
But I think this is a very rare experience for Dara because most
Mm,
of the people he collaborates with, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Rumble, usually you can see them and hear them. But in this rare exception, you can only hear me. Everyone knows what I look like. I look
yeah,
like my profile picture, unlike
yeah.
many contemporaries within my community. But it's great to see you, Dara.
Mm,
One of the advantages of you just being on camera is that I can actually see you and I can see your post-it formation. So
yeah.
maybe for those who are unaware, maybe this is the first time someone has watched you.
Mm.
What are those post-it notes all about?
Well, funny you should ask. So, obviously, like you've just said, I am on Rumble and YouTube. Obviously, I'm not a one person platform. I think we can all agree that YouTube and Twitch have shown why you shouldn't be on just one platform. But because of that, I am monetized in one platform, but I'm not on the other. So, um, there's this thing I do. It's called Questions from the Hat, and people, if they're so willing, can actually have another question pulled out of the hat, or have a question pulled out of the hat. However, they can only do it through Rumble. They can't do it through YouTube. Again, I'm not monetized on YouTube, so I mean, even the basic one, which I think is like 500 followers and 1,000 hours.
No,
I
it's
think it
three.
is
It's 3,000 watch
three
hours. Yeah.
3,000 watch hours. Yeah. But beyond that point, that's the only place I'm monetized on. So those are just all ones who give donation Rumble rants like that. So that's neurodivergent. But that's pretty much it. That's what they are. That's all Rumble rants people have given. Um,
That's good to know.
no.
It's good to have a foot in both camps. I mean,
Mm,
when it comes to YouTube, the
yeah.
YouTube platform, for example, we're both in very similar positions.
Mm,
We're underrated creators. You've been doing this a lot longer than I have, but we're underrated creators on YouTube,
mm,
and we're neither of us are monetized yet on YouTube, but we have
mm,
solid enough communities already.
mm,
I've only been doing this for about 5 months. You've been doing it for a few years. On
mm.
Rumble, you're an established creator, I dare to say, with a good, solid presence.
No.
Whereas with me, although I don't have a solid presence on Rumble, I'm part of a group that
Right.
does with
Right.
John and Jace. I call him Jose because he looks Mexican.
Yeah.
Over at Cancel This Podcast. So in a sense, Dara, we're
uh,
both in very similar boats,
um,
but we've had vastly different experiences, despite both being in very similar positions.
right. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Jace is throwing up your stuff as well. Look at that.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, that account, that channel is linked to my mentor's Rumble channel because both of us don't know how Rumble works, which is
Yeah.
why we're both so adamantly against the platform. But
Yeah.
we appreciate everyone's support.
Yeah. Too many TS oops. Well, I don't know. TS
Is
oops.
TS short for transsexuals? Jace, I have no idea. I
I
have
think
no
he was
idea.
I think he was trying to fix it. Oh, that's right. He was talking about he was talking about the T and HTTPS. It was too much.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
added he added too many T's. But no, I mean that's I mean I say I'm just someone doing this thing because I enjoy getting to talk to people. Of course, like
Hmm.
yourself, and of course, like your mentor, and of course, like
Hmm.
Chase. Again, over 300 various guests at this point. I mean, I haven't. I know it's over 300. I haven't last counted, but the point of the matter is, though, is that it goes to show that you can just talk to just about anyone who are creators or not. So, like for you, yeah, it is kind of a I wouldn't say it's a rare thing, but it has happened on occasion where someone is doesn't want to show their face or can't.
Hmm.
And so I've you know just in this setting right here. So it's not a rarity, but it doesn't happen all the time, if that makes sense.
Oh
Um,
yeah, and folks, I don't want you seeing my screen being black because then everyone will think I have defected to the other team. So we can't do that now, can we? But we appreciate everyone's support. If you haven't already, like the stream, share the stream. Rumble donations, Rumble rants rather, are always welcome, and we
mm.
can call this Daramuth's schizophrenic episode.
Look, the intro video wasn't made by me, it was made by Pogo, and it's from the movie Puff and Stuff. All right, some people who are old should know what that is, but regardless,
Hmm.
that was the 60s and 70s back in the day. Okay, that's not.
Does your friend take any mental health medicine?
Oh, well, Pogo's not my friend. It's just someone I whose stuff I admire, and
Oh.
majority of stuff is in my thing. But yeah, I mean, Pogo's first off, Pogo is Australian, or Kiwi, I think he said once, and he hasn't made anything in a few years. And part of it was there was some sort of, I think it was during when the first, um no, I think it was before that. Before the first term of President Trump, I mean, he has been. If you want to go see, there's an old episode of Steven Crowder where you will see Pogo actually live. His name is actually Nick Birdkey, but
Oh.
he was on a Steven Crowder episode, and you can find that episode easily on YouTube.
Oh.
But I think at a certain point there was something he said, and social media kind of got, were kind of getting after him for saying such a thing. And then after a while, he became very disillusioned with social media in general, and he started to wane his existence from that. So
Really?
yeah.
I've had personal experience in that department on a large scale and on a small scale. I mean, recently I condemned the existence of Black History Month, and
Mm,
of course, certain people of certain persuasions weren't happy with that.
mm,
But look, it's called every single time for a reason. And look, the two of us, we've collaborated with a lot of creators in our time. I've only
mm.
been doing this for a few months, and I've collaborated with dozens of creators.
Oh yeah.
My mentor, when he was a content creator, he collaborated with hundreds upon hundreds of creators over a less than 3 year period. I remember him telling me that of his subscriber base on YouTube, he
Mm.
had probably directly collaborated with about 15% of his subscriber base. Now, can you tell me any other creator who has, with a reasonably sized channel, 3,500 subs on YouTube, who has collaborated with 1 in 8 of their subscriber base, at least one in
What?
eight, maybe
Just
1 in 7.
just in the you're talking just on the creator side of it, right?
Yeah. Mm,
I don't know. That'd be an interesting one because again, I'd only think of people like maybe something like Nerdrotic, but even then, that's kind of just a guess at that point. I
mm.
couldn't really give you a true answer because I don't know myself.
Well, that's
So
well, that's the thing, though, Dara. A lot of creators, especially the prominent ones,
mm,
don't really like going into too much detail of how they really got to where they are today,
mm,
because it's like the Midas touch. You don't give it away, right? It's like
right.
you don't give away the secret formula and that sort of thing. But I've
Mm,
always been in favor of openness, honesty, and transparency. The
Mm.
only reason I'm a cartoon is for practicality's sake.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Hmm.
Especially especially when you have all the VTuber stuff out there, right? Like, uh,
Yes.
well, here's a funny thing though with the VTuber stuff. There are many, and there are males who use female avatars and so forth and so on, and there are females as well. But the point of the matter is, though, is that there was, I can't remember what it was, but there was one point where there were a lot of something came up, and a lot of VTubers started showing their IRL counterpart, and I'm just
Hmm.
like, what's the point of having an avatar which to hide yourself if you're just going to end up eventually showing that side of you? And some of them, I mean, it was some solidarity thing, I can't remember, but then again, you see a lot of female ones do it where they're
Hmm.
showing their VTuber side and their IRL side, and it's just like, then what's the point of your avatar, or do you not care? I don't understand.
It's getting to a point in content creation where the thing people value the most is not talent,
Mm,
it's openness, honesty, and transparency. I don't know if you've heard the term of authenticity is the currency of the internet. And then
mm,
I and then I add a little thing towards the end saying until it's inconvenient.
yeah.
Because I've seen that example. People crave for authenticity
uh,
until it goes against their interests, whether they're viewers, creators,
mm,
communities. It's a
yeah.
big problem. And
Mm,
it's leading me to believe that deep down, there's not really much of a difference between what we do and what folks do over in Hollywood and folks do over in Washington. And that's dangerous
mm,
because if we emulate those behaviors, we're going to end up in similar situations and
mm.
it'll be all for nothing.
Right, and that kind of brings me to a point of where I've seen, like, hey Wendy, how are you?
Hmm.
Hope you're doing well. But that kind of brings me to a point of where I have seen, how they talk about like the old media is dying and all this and that,
Yep.
CNN. Well, the problem with it is though is that that sort of thing where you had the old media over the airwaves and stuff, and that's not going to totally die out, but still,
Hmm.
you see sort of a similarity being transferred over to the new media, like the
Yep.
independent one or whatever. Not all. Let's just put that out there.
No,
Not all
no.
of them, but
Hmm.
there are specific points to where it does seem like you do have these people who are becoming sort of like the 24/7 news, and they start doing this whole, for the clicks and all that stuff, because obviously once you get big enough you have to keep the pay coming in, right? That's a big
Yep.
thing with full-time content creators, no matter the platform. The sooner the bigger you get, the more you have to keep supplying that cash flow. Like Mr. Beast is magnificently huge, and yet he has
Hmm.
to keep supplying that cash amount in order to keep doing what he's doing. Otherwise he's not going to be able to do like the what Beast games and feastables and all the stuff. He has to have a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of money.
he's a Mr. Beast is a fantastic example.
Mm,
And if you were a key part of that group, but you're too dangerous for the long-term survival of that group, you have to be cast away. Look at his friend who turned into a transgender individual. That's a
right.
fantastic example of that. This individual, who I worked with intimately for many years, helped us get to where we are today. Because he is now so controversial and has
Mm,
done some egregious things, you are too dangerous to be part of our initiative. Therefore, we have to exile you, right?
mm,
I may still personally like you, but for
right.
the sake of what we have built, you have to be exiled. Or maybe the platform gets rid of you and you have to be exiled
Mm,
that way. And from my perspective, it's getting to a point now where as you build something and it becomes successful,
yeah.
the priority mainly is to protect what you have built rather than being the change that you want to see. It's a perfectly understandable response, protect
Right.
what you have built.
Right. Right.
However, it leads to that trap of compromise
Yeah.
where the priority becomes your own survival and not the cause that caused all of this to manifest to begin with. And
Yeah.
that's why, Dara, so many creators rise and fall
Mm,
because they can't hide that fact from their audiences. The audiences become disillusioned. They leave.
mm,
Some some viewers become so disillusioned that they give it up altogether,
Right.
or they try their own hand at it, and sadly, if they're successful, repeat the same cycle all over again.
Hmm. Right. Well, and I also think a part of that too is that after a while, a person can only watch so many people they'd like to watch, and so you have
Mhm.
that you have a limiting stage of like viewership, right? Because there are only so many hours in a day. Like me, I like if you were to go to my YouTube following, you'd find even on the Rumble, I follow so many people that is impossible to watch much, if any at all, of any of their stuff. And
Exactly.
it's not a mean thing. It's just there's a time factor to it. So I believe there's a time factor to it to an
Mhm.
individual because you just don't have enough time. And it's been a funny thing too, right? You could follow over 100 different creators and all this stuff, and but at a certain point, you're going to just stick with a few you watch, or maybe something new comes up and you'll go with that. It's a convoluted, varied mix, but it's sort of like that saying of like the squirrel moment or the little silver ball. You see the silver ball, you go there, and off you go.
Yep. Yeah, you go from being an active supporter to a passive supporter,
Mm,
and then thanks to time, you drift apart,
mm,
and then old friends turn into new enemies. It's as simple as that.
mm.
That's why, from my perspective, because I'm not your typical content creator, folks. Hello, most
People.
creators enter this space brand new.
Mm,
They don't know how anything works. They don't
yeah.
even know how basic things work, and they have
Right.
to, do what they have to do in their own time. That's why some creators, it can take them years to get to 100 Rumble followers or 100 subs on YouTube as a
Yeah.
milestone.
Yeah.
My case is a bit different because I was literally taught how to do this
Mm,
from a creator who had his own experiences, had his own triumphs, had his own tragedies,
mm.
and was inevitably wiped out
Yeah.
as a result.
Mm,
So I, in a sense, got fast tracked. I got years worth of experience in months.
yeah.
I'm in a very special place there, and that's how on YouTube I have gained a couple of hundred subs in a few months.
Mm,
Not as good as say other creators who have risen from nothing,
right.
but a lot better than most. My aim is not to become a well-known creator
Mm,
because I am learning from the experience of my mentor, who
mm,
tried to appeal to as many people as possible, tried to
mm,
help as many people as possible, tried to work with as many people as possible, and got
mm.
repaid with annihilation and abandonment,
Yeah. The
sadly.
right. Well, and also I think uh in that regard, the culture war stuff is always going to have some form of controversiality to it, and sort of
Mm.
talking about that sort of stuff can put a target on you to some degree. Not saying one shouldn't or shouldn't stand up for themselves or whatever, but you take the risk on by going down that route, and and continuing on the path of the culture war and all that includes with it, because it is mind numbing after a while with all the stuff that's out there, and the silliness that we humans do to each other on a
Oh
daily
yeah.
basis.
It can
And
make you it can make you bitter, jaded,
mm,
cynical, and viewers can see that in
mm,
some cases. Look at fantastic example there, right? Prominent creator, well known for years,
mm,
but you can tell he's changed as a result of his experiences. Look at Az from Heel versus Babyface. Look at the
uh,
most recent episode of Friday Night Tights as of the making of this live stream, right?
mm,
There was a special guest, real life fake wizard, a regular of a show called Saturday Night Hypnosis, hosted by Hypnotic. Hypnotic got banned recently from YouTube for a week,
I heard
right?
about
So he
that,
had to
yeah.
do a Rumble exclusive show for a week, that sort of thing. Wizard, who is a recent regular of SNH,
Mm,
has been doing very, very well over the past year, right?
mm,
Since early 2025. He has
mm,
risen up the ranks. He has appealed to whole new audiences. He's essentially, ascending
yeah.
upwards in the ranks.
Mm,
Now, that causes a lot of people, especially those who have been there and done it for years and have a presence, to be wary of that sort of individual. And
mm,
you could tell with Az, he's been doing this for so long, he's gained so much experience, and it has affected him. And
Mhm.
audiences have begun to see that. And look,
Mhm.
do this for 5 or 6 years, go through topic after topic, personality after personality,
Mhm.
and not be bitter, cynical, and twisted about the fact that the culture war seems to be as endless as the Afghan war or the Vietnam War
Yeah.
in a psychological sense. And yeah,
Right.
you'd probably be like that too. But that's the thing we're seeing.
Mhm.
Do we want to win this, or do we want it to continue for our own selfish ends? And that's the thing that's gonna make or break what we do as content creators as a
Mhm.
whole.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's understandable.
Mm,
Spike says true. There's a lot of people I follow and like. I just don't get to keep up constantly with them all, even when it's a small amount. Yeah, you can't. At a certain point, you're limited by your own time, which is, yeah. You wonder how someone can get a million people, but usually at those times, uh, followers don't equate to views, and that's in
true.
the case of like, you could have someone who has, say, uh, let's go with 30,000 followers. Now you could
Mm,
have a video they do that has less than 30,000, or they could do a stream or video that could have more than 30,000. So
yep.
again, followers don't equate to views, and that's the mismatch of what this thing is because sometimes you just have people who like one thing and then they most likely never come back to watch another thing, or maybe they don't get notified by the system of which the person is in, because I've seen that too on YouTube. um, and then Cancel says, "Yeah, I have that issue where it's hard to have time to watch everyone. I try to stop in where and when I can." Exactly. There's no. I think um with the advent of, hey, how's it going, Simple Davy? I think with the advent of what's been going on with just in general, you do see a lot more people try to become content creators, and then more and more people try to go for the monetization of those platforms. And so the greater question will be, will there be enough viewers to view the content, or will it simply be creators viewing other creators and nothing else? That's the real
And
question.
from my own perspective, I found this very interesting, right?
Mm,
Looking at this as a newcomer, getting the experience of someone who has done this for years.
mm,
From the outside looking in, everything looks rosy. From
mm,
the inside looking out, it's rotting
mm.
because there are only so many perspectives on a topic. But
Yeah.
more and more people enter the space.
Mm,
We're getting more and more viewers and more creators,
mm,
right? You've got prominent creators who, want to keep things as they are because it
mm.
benefits them. You've
Right.
got new generations of creators rising through the ranks who want to be innovative and feather their own nests, which is completely understandable. You've got the established creators who have been doing this for years and don't want to give up what they've built. And you've
Mm,
got hungry new up and coming creators who want to do the best they can and appeal to as many as possible.
mm,
That's why really boiling this down, really trying to map what we do
mm.
is very, very difficult because even mapping out content creation makes you a target to some people who
Yeah.
don't want the formula to be figured out.
Mm,
Because if it's figured out, well, that's their gravy train. That's their gravy train gone. That's their golden goose gone, man.
mm. I can tell you this: I have no idea what that formula is, but I'm not there, so.
You say that, Dara. You've figured it out more on Rumble than you have on YouTube. Let's put it that way. Right. So in a
Mm,
sense, you look at Dara on Rumble, you look at Dara on YouTube, right?
mm,
Same person, different platforms, same strategy, different platforms. Clearly what Dara is doing on one platform is better than the other. Most content creators actually have the opposite effect. They do
mm,
well on YouTube but not on Rumble.
mm,
Dara is that rare exception in that regard, which I find very interesting.
mm.
So some things work on one platform and don't work on another.
Yeah, yeah, and that can vary from Twitch, someone on Twitch
Mhm.
can do better than YouTube or Kick or whatever. The experience varies. I don't look. I'm honest. I don't have a formula. I don't have any sort of thing. I mean, I try to get better here and there for certain actions, like um, well, how I do in my Rumble Squared, or I do my Pay It Forward stream and stuff like that. But beyond that point, there's really not much of like you see these content creators, and I'm sure your mentor has stated too of his following of like watching neurotic and trying to improve on that route and so many others. Like I don't do that at all. I don't watch people to find out what they do better, like the um say like overlay stuff or stuff or the stuff, the things like the audio, visual, all these things that you see content creators talk about all day long about. This is what you have to do to make it look right. This is what you have. At a certain point, I just gone with like, okay, this thing sounds good, or this thing looks good, or something like that. Whatever has looked good or sound good to me has been that point. But I've also listened to other people who do certain things or whatever, and maybe I take a piece of advice here or there. But at the end of the day, I don't have a formula
Mhm.
for
Well,
success.
you have a core concept,
Mm,
Dara, which is you talk to fine folks and fellow creators,
mm,
and you repeat that process consistently. So that means you need a regular supply of new people, new personalities. That means more connections. That means
mm,
more collaborations. So in a sense, you need a steady supply to deal with the demand in a very similar way that some creators need that in regards to viewership and donations. They
mm,
need high viewership, they need high donations to keep their operations going. So it's very similar. It's just the elements different, but the
mm,
strategy is very similar. What I've done personally is to help build a network and have that network of creators and shows on YouTube and Rumble coordinate together and have a
mm,
central hub where one creator makes all the show material into video material because folks' videos are not shows. Even if they're derived from the same material,
right.
they can be cut in
Mm,
such a way, clipped in such a way
mm,
where two videos and a show are different, but they're from the same material, and
mm,
that has worked quite well on YouTube. Certainly in 2025,
mm,
hopefully we can emulate that and replicate that in 2026.
mm,
But you've got to balance so many things: schedule, people, times,
mm.
dates, many variables, and yes, it can drive you mad.
Yeah.
You've got to put a lot of effort into doing this.
Mm,
And if you want to turn this into a career, you've got to have years worth of experience. You've got to resonate with audiences. You've
mm,
got to have a steady supply of donations or memberships or gifted subs or whatever you want to call it.
right.
And it has to be continuous.
Mm,
And that's going to put a lot of pressure on people. Now, some people can get six figures a year doing this. Now they
true.
know what the formula is, whether they like to admit it or not.
Mm,
Okay? But even those people, Dara, if
mm,
they have to start again from scratch, new name, new face, even new voice in some cases,
yeah.
even for them it would be difficult starting out because they literally have to build from scratch. It's like,
Mm,
oh, look at this massive skyscraper I've created. Well,
yeah.
if that came crumbling down, you have to rebuild that brick by brick. That's
Mm.
going to take a while,
Oh yeah.
even if you know the formula.
Mm. Yeah, it as the saying goes, it's easier to destroy than to create. But I also should extend the context of like I've done solo shows myself, and I also bring people back on I've had on before. So it's not exactly a true supply of new people all the time. Although I do
Mhm.
meet new people, but it's the extension of going beyond just inviting creators onto a show, which is a limiting factor, at least from my perspective. It's a limiting factor on creators doing their show when they do a panel show, because all they do, to a majority degree, not total, but a majority degree, creators invite other creators on, and there's a reason for those things, and I understand that. But for what I've been trying to do and still continue to do is trying to kind of shatter those. Um, yeah, I literally at one point had stated like, there's a bunch of these spheres around here. I'd rather take a sledgehammer to all of them and just break them open, because
Hmm.
like Wendy here says, as a newcomer, it is hard to create something what not yet exists yet. Yeah, because at a certain point, you've already talked about enough politics, enough Hollywood, enough social media drama that, and as you said as well, it becomes a tiresome point. But when you can just go anywhere and you're not reliant on those, um, what seem to be the culture war topics, it does seem to be you could do more. And I've, I just didn't see a lot of people do it at the time. So even now, there are people that are out there that are trying to do it, but they do it in slightly different ways, which is fine.
Oh
Do what
yeah.
you do. But for me, it's like I'm not tied to a group. I could be anywhere. I could be to anyone as long as they speak English. If you can't speak English, I'm sorry, my secondary language no comprende.
Well, that's why English is the universal language. Um, from my own perspective, taking a sledgehammer to the spheres is the way to go.
Mm,
And, my mentor told me this, um, the month he was deplatformed, he was
yeah.
planning to create, he called it Project Pipeline. He always likes projects that sound like what they're going to do. So
Right.
Pipeline is to create essentially a pipeline for new generations of creators to constantly enter various spaces, because
Mm,
viewership, there are more viewers, so there need to be more creators.
mm,
And without new generations of creators, well, the older ones who have been there and done it will get so bitter, so jaded, so cynical, and so elitist that it'll all come crashing down. And
mm.
yes, folks, people do die. And that
Yes.
creates a vacuum, whether
Yeah.
you like it or not. But
Mm,
because of his ability to be a recruiter, he was annihilated first to stop that from happening. He was wiped out,
mm.
deplatformed
Right.
to stop that new generation from happening. Because when you look at the way things are going, the greatest fear the old media have, the old institutions have,
Mm,
is not the creators who are prominent, or
mm.
even the creators that are most effective.
Right.
What the old institutions fear is the potential for newer, fresher, more vibrant creators to enter the mix. Because you can deal with what you know,
Mm.
you can't deal with what you don't know.
It's
And
true.
that's what they fear, unleashing the potential of the people, which all content creators essentially are. They are the manifestation of the people's potential.
Mm,
Nerdrotic's a fantastic example of this. His
mm,
creator journey out of the ashes of relapse and drug abuse and a failed comic business to
mm,
where he is today. He is the living embodiment of the people's potential, right? And he
mm,
values the kind of conversations with people who are similar in experience and circumstance as him. He's a very visual person from my
mm.
analysis. So he likes seeing things visually, and he likes getting perspectives direct from the source. There
Right.
are exceptions. He has collaborated with a few creators who are, cartoons and pictures and that sort of thing. But that's the exception. It's not the rule.
Right.
And I think it's very important for people to realize that anyone can be a content creator. And that
Mm,
terrifies those who want to feather their own nests, because if everyone can do it, well, can't really make money off doing that. And that's how petty folks are. Folks in the older institutions, and sorry to say, a few folks in the newer ones too.
mm. Yeah, because that's kind of the thing of it's the sort of the expectation that has been ingrained into what content creation is. Because I've always seen any sort of thing like that, like with the rumble rants, whatever, like as a bonus, because it's like working for tips. If you've not worked for waitressing or bartending or stuff that gets a tip for, then some of those people won't understand like that what that means. But basically, if you don't get like the deals or whatever, you're basically working for tips, and but that shouldn't be the point of why you create in the first place, because um, I think it'd be reasonable to say that when YouTube first started out, there was no such thing as monetization. It was just people. It was just YouTube. You'd post a video and people would like it and comment on it, and that was pretty much it. If you had a business already, though, you could use YouTube to kind of extend that, but that's still beside the point.
Hmm. But we have to look at this from this perspective, right?
Uh,
You have one example of a creator who started off, promoted others, talked about topics, went all out, tried to get more people into the space.
mm,
He cultivated a support base, was actually doing very, very well,
mm,
especially in late 2024, early 2025. Then he gets
yeah.
wiped out in 2025,
Mm,
and then he pours all of his energy, not on himself,
mm,
but on ensuring that what he built can survive,
mm,
and now isn't doing this anymore.
mm,
He's leaving it to better people, in his eyes, better people to finish what he started. And I'm very grateful for that. But I'm
mm,
not going to do what he did point for
mm,
point because I'll ultimately end up in the same position. So
mm,
I'm thinking, what if I do this but from a completely different angle?
mm.
And then we'll be more likely to succeed. I know circumstances change, times change,
Right.
sadly people change,
Mm,
folks, and that's sad. That's not a
mm,
good thing. People change. Change is not necessarily a good thing, and people changing is not necessarily a good thing. I think fundamentally people don't change. You are who you are.
mm,
But if people do change, it's mostly a negative. Sometimes it's positive, but
mm,
that's the exception. It's not the rule. We don't live in a happy-go-lucky world, folks. And,
mm.
Jace from Cancel This Podcast saying, I can't even imagine making six figures as a content creator. You will when you have to fill out the tax form. Good.
Yeah.
I know from my mentor, because he gave me testimonies, he gave me records, he gave me files, because he kept records on everything and everybody he ever encountered.
Mm,
Right? He knows at least two creators in the pop culture sphere
mm,
directly who make six figures, who made more in donations and memberships even than Nerdrotic himself.
mm.
It's
Um,
insane. And they have a tenth, an eighth, or a tenth of his audience. It's insane. But it's great to get everyone's support. If you haven't already, like the stream, share the stream. Rants are always welcome on Rumble, that sort of thing.
mm,
But the thing is, people always start off with, I do this because I enjoy it, right?
mm.
They always start off that way.
Right.
But then once it becomes a business, that's their priority. It always happens. Always happens. If they don't, even if they don't publicly say that, actions speak louder than words.
Mm.
Especially if you do this full time, you're clearly doing it to make a living. So of course that's the priority.
Right. For those type of people, I mean, I have a full time job, so it's not anything of sort. Although the taxes part, you're not wrong on. Um,
Mm,
so always be mindful of that. For those who don't know,
mm.
always be mindful of your taxes.
I
Uh,
actually know of another example, Dara, of a creator who deliberately
mm,
donates, right? Because there's like minimum tax levels that you can have without having to pay any direct taxes. He
yeah.
literally donates half of his donations to other creators so that he doesn't have to go through, the tax forms, right? So that he can say, this is how much I got, this is how much I donated as a tax write off, and as a result, he doesn't have to pay direct taxes, right? This is a creator who I think it was in 2025 got like, I think he was a UK creator, got about
Oh.
25,000 pounds, was about
Mm,
$30,000 in donations,
mm,
and gave about £5,000 of it away in donations. So he was just under the direct tax figure, right? I Prominent creators don't do that, folks, because they want to have high five, six figure sums and fill out the forms, or they get they get someone else to do it. See, look,
Right.
folks, someone's pulling up in Dara's drive. They're going to get him for me saying that. But it does happen.
Right.
Tax write-offs even happening for content creation.
Mhm. I have to. I I wasn't I wasn't paying attention to how much I made last year, so I have to do a lot of writing off because like wait a second, what? And I've
I know
never.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, part of it had to do was because I mean I still am to some degree, but I don't earn any money from it. But I'm in the Rumble Creator Program, so um while I was fulfilling all the requirements, while I'm not now, I was earning that extra small amount of money that came with it, and so there were months on end and all that stuff. So yeah, it's just one of those things. But luckily, I have a tax person, so that's all good, and it's not going to be as bad as what you imagine, right? What you imagine it's going to be.
It used to be a long time ago. It used to be a a big problem
Mhm.
because this was a brand new industry. People didn't know
Yeah,
what the rules were, and there wasn't legislation like
yeah,
concrete legislation back then. That there isn't really concrete legislation about it now. That's why there
right.
are so many loopholes. But the point is, people didn't know what they were supposed to do when they got all these donations, all these memberships, all these sponsorships. What do I do?
Hmm.
But thankfully, and this could be a theme for today's show, they weren't held accountable for it
Hmm.
because they didn't know they were doing anything wrong. Technically, it wasn't hurting anyone
Hmm.
in the bottom line. And lesson learned. Live and learn.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think when things started out for, um, content
I
creation.
will to answer Wendy's question. Um, thankfully not. Thankfully not. But in some countries, it's very strange. In some countries, they have systems in place where YouTube takes their 30%.
Hmm.
And like in the UK, they take 10% as taxation, so you don't have to fill out any damn forms, right?
Oh.
So British YouTubers, for example, they only get 60% of their donations instead of 70%. Now, in
Hmm.
the US, it's a bit different. In the
Hmm.
US, they get the 30%
Right.
taken and they have their 70%. But then every year they have to write down this is how much I made, this is the depending on which state you live. You
Yeah.
look at, I can give you a fantastic example here, a
Hmm.
direct example. You look at Smash JT,
Hmm.
prominent creator, has a lot of support, gets a lot of donations. He is based in California,
Right.
and their taxation is insane,
Right. Yep.
right? So YouTube takes their 30%.
Mm.
California takes like 30-40%.
Jeez.
So 70% of his donations, practically,
Hmm.
60-70% of his donations, he doesn't get. But if you're based in a state that doesn't have a creator-based tax system. One of the mountain states where no one lives and they don't have rules on it, like Wyoming or something.
Right.
It's like, oh, 30%, 70% is yours. I don't know how much it is in the Netherlands either, but usually 30% is the standard. Usually.
30. Yeah.
Uh, with Rumble, it's a bit different. Rumble just complicates everything, but we appreciate everyone who is on Rumble. The best thing about Rumble are the creators and the viewers.
Hmm.
Everything else, crap.
No, and
Uh,
there's a lot to be said for that. But yeah, the as far as I know, and like Digny said, the 70-30 70 no 30-70 split.
mhm.
And I don't know what they do for ads, but I don't go that far complicated into it, just because I'm not that type of person. Listen, if I were to have if some expert content creator, whatever you want to call them, were to come into my channel, they'd say, "Well, the idea is nice, but they're not doing this, this, and this," and I'd basically
Mm,
say, "Well, why don't you try to get 300 plus people within a year or so's time, and you let me know how well that goes." Uh,
exactly. Exactly. The only people who can really comment on your situation are your contemporaries, especially those that have been here, um, not
Long,
been here,
right.
who have been here, who have done this for less amount of time and have gained more support. Those are really the only people who can judge you.
Mm,
People who have less support and have been doing this longer can't really judge you. Look, you can do something and it works. I can do the same something and it doesn't work.
yeah,
That's why
exactly.
there's no real how-to guide on content creation. There are
Yeah.
ideas, strategies.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I can use my mentor as an example,
Mm-hmm.
right? As soon as he started making videos from shows,
Yeah.
his viewership stayed the same, but his time to make videos halved.
Mm-hmm.
So he could make twice as much
Mm-hmm.
and get more viewership as a result. Now, YouTube has this rule in place. They call it reused content.
Yeah.
You guys heard of that? Reused content. You're demonetized because of reused content.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I'm thinking to myself, first of all, it's an insane rule. And second of all,
Yeah.
my mentor created something called recycled content.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Take a show, cut it up into videos, and each video has its own title, its own thumbnail, its own intro and outro.
Mm-hmm.
You release it, doesn't get flagged for reused content,
Mm-hmm.
but it's from a show either he hosted or was a guest on that isn't being used by, say, the host,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he dubbed it recycled content.
Mm-hmm.
Never once did he get flagged for
Mm-hmm.
reused content. Never got banned or censored or
Mm-hmm.
struck or even demonetized for reused content.
Right.
He just rebranded the name as recycled content.
Right. Which, yeah, that's I know that's been a issue for many content
Mm,
creators is them getting hit by that reuse. But even then, it's a vagueness in itself unless there's some stipulation of using someone else's content. But even then, if they make it transformative, then they're really just making transformative content. Um,
exactly. And that's the thing. That was the real first flaw in YouTube's algorithmic system. Now it's ubiquitous. Everyone knows YouTube's AI-based moderation is crooked. You can
mm-hmm,
get flagged for a video, win an appeal, then get flagged again for the same video for the same offense, and then
mm-hmm,
lose the appeal, all while you're sleeping. It happened to me.
mm-hmm,
It can easily happen to anyone else on YouTube.
mm-hmm,
So just pipeline your supporters over to Rumble. Pipeline your supporters over to another platform.
mm-hmm,
Uh, that's the only thing. That's the only good thing about YouTube and Facebook and these old social media platforms.
right,
Pipelines.
yeah.
Pipeline your loyalists onto other more dependable platforms.
Well, and just it's just going with the simple phrase of don't put all your eggs in one basket because it's too many platforms. Yeah, it's just a mess in its own right. And Cancel says content creation is an uphill battle, but I always say you have to do what makes you comfortable with the way you do things. At the end of the day, you just have to be able to enjoy it. Like I know Digni had mentioned that at a certain point, like when the money starts rolling in, that may change. Um, but for me, it's always been that case because um, it can all end in the day, right? Like any platform it can end in the day,
Oh
and
yeah.
you don't and all your stuff can be deleted. Again, that's why multi-platforming is an importance for the future, I think, for content creators, because if one platform takes away whatever you put on their platform, you still have the other platforms you put your stuff on, and that's not gone. And if they have the option to download it, well, guess what? You now can spread that even more, um, because platforms are a business at the end of the day, and they are beholden to themselves, not to the people on the platform that use it, but to themselves. Because honestly, I mean, they're gonna do what's best for them business wise. There's no way of getting around that.
It's getting to a point, Dara, and I'll single out YouTube specifically for
Mm,
this, where even retroactively collaborating with a deplatformed creator paints a target on your back,
Mm,
right? Especially with YouTube's AI moderation system, right?
mm,
Where if you've collaborated with a creator who's been deplatformed, you get marked. And the
yep.
more marks, the bigger the target. The bigger the
Mm,
target, the more likely you get deplatformed. And if you do get wiped out on YouTube, everyone you've ever collaborated with ever has now a mark on their back,
mm,
and so on and so forth. And it will get to a point because so many creators have been deplatformed on YouTube.
mm,
Just in 2025, the number is staggering. We are talking hundreds of thousands of channels being wiped out.
right.
And that creates more marks. More marks, more potential for deplatforming. More people get deplatformed, more marks, and so on and so forth, until the only thing that is left on YouTube is the corpo slop,
Mm,
the old media, the old institutions.
mm,
That's why, in my view, and I echo my mentor's sentiments here, being moderate only buys you so much time, right?
mm,
You can't appease a tiger when your head is in its mouth. That's what YouTube is. It is a tiger,
mm.
and it will eat everyone eventually.
Yeah, and the other part of that is that people will continue to come back to it because it offers what other platforms don't, and the tools, the monetization, the reach, it offers all the things that other platforms just don't have that capability, and they're ahead in that game. Um, and I did see the whole AI moderation thing, although it didn't hit. It hit a lot of small ones, but it didn't hit like a lot in the sense of everyone. I know some people say. The point of the matter is, though, is that yes, what you say is correct. It is like putting your head in the lion's mouth, but at the end of the day, people will gladly put their head in the lion's mouth as long as it gets them the reach and the money that they can't get elsewhere. And I've seen
It
this one
works
too many
like a
times. Okay.
Dara, it works like a disease. It works like a virus spreading.
Mm,
Because I foresee an era
mm,
where everyone I have ever collaborated with and everyone my mentor has ever collaborated with
mm,
will inevitably be wiped out by YouTube
mm,
because it will be like a virus. It'll be like a viral spread. Whether it takes years or decades, it will happen
mm,
because of the fact that it's a simple equation to the algorithm. We deplatform this guy or girl. You have collaborated with this guy or girl, in some cases, hundreds of times. Therefore, you're more likely to be deplatformed. And the
mm,
more people within that group have been deplatformed, that you are part of that sphere, the more
mm,
likely you get deplatformed. And
mm,
then it spreads. And then it'll come to a point where everyone will be annihilated because
mm.
everyone is a few degrees of separation from everyone else.
Right.
Say, I know you and you know some other guy,
Mm,
right? And so on. I get wiped out. I've been on this show on
mm,
YouTube. I get wiped out. That paints a target on your back.
mm,
Then you get wiped out. That paints a target on the other guy's back, who's more
mm,
well known. He gets wiped out, and so on and so forth. And everything goes kaput. Now,
mm,
that may not happen quickly, it may happen slowly, but it's going to happen.
mm.
That's why I commend you for building a solid presence on Rumble. Although, if Rumble ever embrace AI moderation, the same thing will happen.
I think, well, maybe not moderation, but I think the inevitable of just on the algorithmic part is something that can't, you know, well, I mean, I guess Twitch doesn't really have something to that effect, but you can't really ask for discoverability of items on a platform without some form of algorithmic key or thing in order for that to be the case, because again, people are so used to like the YouTube situation. And Um, and the biggest issue on Rumble is that discoveries is abysmal at best, uh,
Mm.
and to that degree, it is sort of that thing where platforms will have to find their own way, or they have to use in some um, mechanical sort of just being able to see new stuff and new people and whatnot, because
Well,
eh,
how how long has Rumble been operating as a public video sharing live streaming platform?
since 1920, 2019 or 2020, one of the two.
Right. So let's say 6 years. Let's be nice. Let's say it's been 6 years, right?
Uh,
YouTube debuted in late 2005. It got bought out by Google in early 2006. The first algorithm, right, did not debut on YouTube until early 2015, right? From 2006 until 2014,
mm,
or very early 2015, everything on YouTube was organically driven.
mm,
And primarily the main way you get viewership was through searches, right? The more people search for your video, the more likely it's going to get searched.
mm.
This was before Shorts. This was before YouTube even had a live streaming system, right?
Yeah, it was just yeah.
Um, and one of the main reasons why YouTube developed an algorithm in early
Mm,
2015, I think it was in beta in 2013, but they didn't fully unleash it until 2015, was
mm,
because they wanted a live streaming setup to challenge Twitch. And the
yeah.
only reason, or the only way, rather, you could have video sharing and live streaming was to have an algorithmic format to prioritize such things.
Right.
Because a video system and a live streaming system are two different things. And yes,
Mm,
said algorithm constantly developed over
mm,
the years, and it's gotten to a point where it has developed a mind of its own, right?
right.
We literally proved that on a previous show I did with Helzo just before this show went live, right? The
Mm,
viewership went up when we were being pro YouTube and anti Rumble. The viewership then went up again when we were pro Indian and anti elephant. Why? You laugh, but
yeah.
why? Because YouTube despises Rumble for obvious reasons,
Mm,
and YouTube's CEO is an Indian, and Indians hate elephants for killing them. Yeah,
there's,
elephants have killed in 2025, the wild elephant population killed about 200 Indians.
there's a lot of them, but no,
Yeah.
that's
And
crazy.
I hear Rumble Shorts are beginning to debut, and you're going to see a similar effect, right? Because what happened when YouTube debuted Shorts? A lot of creators became prominent, but they had
Mm,
no communities. That's why I call it short steroids. But
yeah.
YouTube had an algorithm hyperinflating that. I don't
Mm,
know what it's going to be like on Rumble without its own dedicated prioritization system.
yeah.
Will it be, oh, the more I search for it, the more I'll get it?
Mm,
Fingers crossed it will be, because there is a good upside to that. You may not get as much reach as you do on YouTube, but you
mm,
don't have an algorithm shystering you.
mm. Well, I mean, I post shorts like I've always posted shorts both to Rumble and YouTube, but I've also posted them to TikTok as well, just as have
Mm,
another place. Again, platforms are gonna have their different arena, and yeah, the shorts will come out this supposedly will come out this Wednesday. But the thing of it is, like, how will it react? How will it work? Supposedly by admin, it's gonna, the discovery is gonna be better once shorts come out. But that's just words. I need to see that it works. I need to see that examples of, certain people are not always going to be in it versus like contracted stuff. Like this is true to do of anyone you follow, of anyone you watch, maybe a surprise, because Rumble is in competition and it can't afford to keep lagging behind it. Either there's some instances where they can't do it because financials and whatnot,
yep.
but like the technology part is something that they could probably win on. It's just they aren't doing well on that part, and it's taking them quite a shorts. For Rumble, shorts has been talked about for almost 2 years. 2 years. And now supposedly finally this Wednesday it's coming out. So you tell me how long it's taking them to get something like that out versus where you've got the king of platforms still trudging away. People are still trudging away for it regardless of the AI moderation bomb out?
Well, first of all, emulating YouTube uh, will only lead to you ending up like YouTube.
No.
Ultimately, Rumble is doing essentially what YouTube did. They're emulating a platform, which
Mm,
is never a good idea. Before YouTube decided to host live streaming to compete with Twitch, the standard, the universal standard for
mm,
social media and content creation and live streaming, Shorts as a concept wasn't really a thing. Vine tried to do it and monumentally failed
mm,
at doing it, but it stayed in the cultural zeitgeist despite its failure. Before YouTube's decision to have a live streaming system,
mm,
separate but equal was the norm, right? Here's your live streaming platform, here's your shorts platform, here's your video sharing platform, and never will they shall meet. That was the
mm.
norm,
Yeah.
right? Separate but equal. YouTube only changed that rule, that convention,
Mm,
because it was losing to Twitch.
yeah.
YouTube Shorts only became a thing because
Because
it was losing to TikTok.
right. Yeah.
We are essentially playing the game by YouTube's rules. Best
Mm.
case scenario for Rumble, they end up like YouTube.
Or at least
That's
in a yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Worst case scenario, they get annihilated like every other platform that has tried to oppose YouTube. Remember Odyssey? Remember BitChute? Eh?
Yeah. Well, I will say this: Odyssey had its own issues with the whole library crypto thing, which and that was a whole mess that set them back, and now they're trying to catch up. But the problem of it is that they are a crypto based platform where you can use crypto on the platform, but the problem of it is that again you come to the point of talking big while still shortening the stick, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And Odyssey, while it does have a good heart to some degree, it has the problem of not being in the place it needs to be, and yet it's talking a big game like it is already there. So that's just one of those things. And Rumble has its own issues too, right? Like it at many times says overpromised and underdelivered, and it still does that to some degree. I'm pretty sure cryptocentric. Thank you for that, cryptocentric for Lee. I was trying to think of the word. Um, but the point of the matter is though is that I've had someone on. I've had him on before. His name is DJ Smoo, and his point was pretty simple. They've overpromised and they've underdelivered. And while for many, I presume the Rumble wallet is great, the issue of it is though there are those small intricacies that come with crypto that don't make it 100% yours. Like the promise is the stuff in the Rumble wallet is 100% yours. Well, you do know that a bit of it gets taken out for having to transfer it out because it's something called gas fees or trying to buy through or that thank you Simple Davey, I appreciate that. Or you know that you have when if you buy the crypto part through the Rumble wallet, that it still goes through something called MoonPay, which is still a third party. So again, we hear about there's no middleman and you get to keep 100% yours, but you still get something taken out when you try to draw the crypto, and you're still going through a third party in order to buy the crypto. So what is the real ordeal? And
The
that's my issue.
collaboration, it's simple. The
Mm,
collaboration Rumble made, I think it was with Tether, to
mm,
make all that possible, was simply to satisfy investors, right?
mm.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Dara, but isn't Rumble a publicly traded company?
Yes.
That's a gigantic red flag in that of itself,
Mm,
right? And the same applies for, I think, for YouTube and many mainstream social media and video sharing platforms.
mm,
Being a publicly traded company means you're subject to the influences of shareholders, right?
mm,
Honestly, if you're a prominent Rumble creator and you're making bank doing this,
mm,
buy shares in Rumble. Buy as many as you can. Okay, seriously, because you'll have a say in how the company operates, right?
mm.
You could say that for YouTube, but it's a lot bigger. YouTube's been around for 20 years, over 20 years.
Mm,
Okay, Rumble will be in the position YouTube is in today in a decade, maybe long. No, actually, closer to 15 years. And by then, the zeitgeist will have completely changed. Who knows if
yeah.
any of us will still be around by then. My point is, though,
Mm,
I think the best way I can make Rumble a better platform is to rage against it, in a sense, to
right.
rage against Chris and rage against his cheerleaders, right? And
Yeah.
point out the inconsistencies
Yeah.
where he celebrates one creator hitting 3,000 subs, but he doesn't celebrate another. So he has favorites.
Yes.
Okay? And the great thing about Rumble is their CEO will literally confront you, and I ain't afraid of confronting a CEO. I confronted many a controversy in my time, and so did
Right.
my mentor. Okay,
Uh.
I think I can handle the CEO of an upstart video sharing platform.
Uh.
Okay, because that's how many people see Rumble as an
Mm,
upstart video sharing platform, the
mm,
green YouTube.
yeah. Or the green platform. But yeah, it's definitely definitely a platform doesn't need more yes people. It needs more balanced approaches. Like I've always been, again, that's why I do my Rumble Squared. That's why I've always stated
Mm,
I will praise Rumble when it does well, and I will admonish when it does poorly, because I don't believe in giving more ego than where it should be. Because ego only leads to stagnation, and stagnation only leads to destruction. And we don't, if we want to, yeah, possibly confronted many CEOs. But I think positive news. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, again, that's why I state to be, praise where it needs to be praised, give credit where it's due, but also to admonish where it's also due as well. Because if a platform only listens to the positives, and not to the negatives, then they're not really a platform. They're just another company that likes yes men. And I'm not
oh yeah.
interested in being a yes man. I'm sure, and like you stated, you're not interested in being a yes man because your mentor has already seen what happens when you play the game on a platform, and the platform
Yep.
says we don't want. Well, I think there was also like mass flagging ordeal with your mentor, but that's a
Mhm.
different story all in itself. The point of the
That
matter
that was
is
a factor. It was a factor, but it was not the factor.
not
Let's
the
put it
fact.
that way.
Okay.
You see, the same cliquish. It's less of an issue on YouTube, right? The
Mm,
idea of cliquish yes men behavior is nowhere near as big a problem on YouTube as, say, it is on Twitch. It's a massive problem on Twitch. That's why I compare the clique issues Rumble has to
yeah.
the clique issues Twitch has. And
Oh, and kick.
it not only is it institutional, Dara,
Mm,
it's open. It's open that there are creators on Rumble who gain more when they are openly supportive of the platform and its CEO.
mm,
Openly, they get all the nice tours, they get special gifts, they get praised and celebrated by the CEO and his sycophants. Look, man, look. I admire the honesty of the fact that you're building an institutional clique, but I
mm,
personally think it's disgusting. Uh, if it's disgusting when Twitch does it and plays favorites, then it's disgusting when Rumble does it.
mm. Yeah. Well,
Either it's fine for both or neither.
right. And don't forget, kick is part of that thing too, because then this
Mm.
has been a thing that I've seen a lot, and I'm not against it in the sense of the word, because you can find community, you can find a sort of family, I guess. But I've never been one about calling a platform or a group of people you find on that family. And my reasoning is because one, I already have an actual family, so having a digital family is not really the thing I'd like to go for.
It's cultish.
Yeah, I think and I don't, and again, this is not to downtrod on people who actually have genuine connection, and want to talk to each other and want to build something great. It's rather than on the mental state of what that includes. And again, there are some people who have been through a rough spot through their life, and they find a place here and they're going to call it family because the family they came from basically was not the greatest. So they found something that works for them, and that's fine. Like, you can agree with me or disagree with me. That's okay. The point of the matter is, though, is I don't want to call it that because it becomes something that it isn't true to me. I've met a lot of great people through many different platforms: Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Rumble. I've met a lot of great people, creator or not. My issue is that when you start using these words like calling it family, beyond community is one thing, but calling something family when it's not, starts building that bubble, right? That we talked about,
Oh
the
yeah.
sphere. You start building the
Mhm.
sphere of your group of people, and you start becoming closed to just your group. You start supporting just your group. And while I haven't fully seen it where they don't, find a new person or whatever, you start building this bias of n- going for one person who's within your liking range and not the other. And that's why I do what I do as well, because I'm not confined to that. I'm trying to remain unbiased, even though I'm human. So that's hardly possible. But it's trying to not remain tribalistic to a tribe that's pretty much
Mhm.
on all the other platforms. YouTube, maybe not so much because of how big the pool is, but like you go to Twitch, you go to Kick, you see them say the Kick family, the Twitch family. You see that almost every time, and it's just like, I I I get it, but it's not okay. I guess
But
yeah.
Twitch has Twitch has dropped the ball on so many fronts. The company should not exist.
Mm,
If it weren't for Twitch's failures, YouTube live streaming would never have existed.
mm,
Okay, and they doubled down. Twitch doubled down on their failures, which enabled Kick to come into existence and really grow. Twitch has really failed to the point where Kick has really grown as a viable alternative. Because Kick is the most egregious social media platform out there that is in the mainstream, and it is backed by Stake, which is a gambling company.
oh yeah.
That's they say, oh, we don't sustain ourselves that way anymore. Sorry to say this, bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? That's like Twitch saying Amazon don't pay us to exist. Nonsense.
Mm.
Nonsense, quite frankly. And Kick, you want to make a name for yourself on Kick? Throw someone down the stairs. Literally, this is a platform that is built on, oh, I'm a prominent Kick creator. Hey, how did you become prominent? Oh, I just caused someone to do themselves in live. And everyone watched and enjoyed.
Mhm,
It's gotten to the point where if Twitch hadn't have messed up so badly,
mhm.
then YouTube live streaming wouldn't exist and Kick wouldn't exist.
Yeah. Sort of like you have to wait for your competitor to make a mistake and then move in.
Yeah.
Again, Rumble with the whole TikTok thing, but even then, that's triviality. But anyway, it's a little past top of the hour, so we'll quickly get
Oh.
through this. But what happens is that I set aside the time for me and my guests to promote our stuff.
Mhm.
Sometimes they aren't a creator, and that's fine. They usually just say a few words or whatever. But I have, I know you're. They posted your Rumble link earlier, but I have your YouTube your one. But Digny, if you want to promote your stuff, the floor is
Or you
yours.
can you can check me out. I'm the Dignified Cartoon Gentleman. I'm on YouTube and I am on Rumble. What's interesting is that my Rumble account is connected to my mentor's Rumble account. So, different channels, but they release the same material
Mm,
because both of us don't really know how the Rumble platform works.
understandable.
You can check me out on YouTube as the Dignified Cartoon Gentleman. There's no one quite like me on YouTube. Same name over on Rumble, and you can also check me out on Rumble through my mentor. That's capital R, capital A,
99.
1999.
Yep.
Um, I'll just keep making as many videos as possible from the many network shows. Thinking about it, yes, I do have a custom URL, but apparently that hasn't been found yet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dignified cartoon gentleman, exploring why things go wrong. I'm at over 330 subs on YouTube. On Rumble, I've got about 50 odd followers. I appreciate that. My mentor has about 840 followers on Rumble, so he appreciates that as well.
Mm,
Your support, folks, in this effort is heartwarming
mm,
as we rebuild what was lost and hopefully onwards in the future. As unfortunately more and more people get wiped out, because that's what it's going to take to bring people over. A lot of people have to lose their golden gooses before effective positive change takes hold. It
mm,
won't be nice for them in the short term, but it'll be good for them in the long term,
mm,
even if they don't know it. So
mm.
check me out there on YouTube. Check me out as the Dignified Cartoon Gentleman on Rumble.
Mm,
If you see two accounts, they're both me because I
yeah.
had to make a brand new one to be here
Mm,
because Rumble Studio is a bit wacky.
yes.
But yeah, I appreciate everyone's support. Thank you very much, Dara, for having me on. You can also
Oh.
check my mentor out on X,
Mm,
where he, promotes all sorts of stuff.
the
That's
network.
yeah, promotes the network as well. That's Ryan Roger Athe, 1999. And if you have the time, check out the network on Rumble. Cancel this podcast every Tuesday and Thursday for the main shows,
Mm,
as well as game streams throughout the week,
mm.
various times. And yeah, if Cancel This Podcast can transfer their Facebook audience into their Rumble audience, we'll have Chris Pavlovsky's sucking Jose's penis if he can transfer that, because he has podcast has over 160,000 followers on Facebook, and if they can transfer all of that over to Rumble, that's
Mm.
going to be one hell of a goddamn force.
Well, that certainly
Insane.
is. Yeah, it certainly is. But
Thank you for having me.
no, well, yeah, well, we're not done yet. I just do it like as a top of the hour thing, because
Okay, that's fine.
yeah, because some creators do it like at the beginning of the stream, or they do it at the end, or throughout. I just do that sort of like at the top of the hour because it's sort of like a timing thing. And have a good night, Wendy. Sleep well, because I know it's about around midnight where you're at. So have a
Yeah.
good night. But yes, I'll try to get Digni's Rumble channel down there, and I'll try to see if I can't recopy the link because that's what it gave me when I copied it off your channel page on YouTube. So certainly we'll have
Let me
to,
see if I can find it, and then I can put it in there.
yeah. Well, I mean, Lee already did. Lee already did do it. I just got to recopy and post it in the description, and also your. If you don't mind me sending your Rumble link later on, so I can
Oh,
copy
no,
it.
it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Because I'd rather have all the places people can find you at rather than because that's another thing too that so I've seen with some content creators they'll only promote their golden goose but they won't promote as much their other places
Hmm.
when need be because it's understandable that splitting your audience will split your pay but when you end up having no pay then splitting it would have just been as better um, but yeah, so there's that. All the links will be down below in the description on both the Rumble side and YouTube side. So give them a look, and if you're to follow, why not? But for my end, goodness, I gotta find myself. Hold on. But for my end of things, whether you're on the Rumble side or YouTube side, doesn't matter which side you're on because I do stream to both. If you wouldn't if you wouldn't mind leaving a like, sharing the content, leaving a comment or follow, anything that helps with the engagement factor is much appreciated because not only does it help in being seen more, it also helps in having other people on like Digni or Roger Ryan from a while ago, or Jace, Cancel the Podcast, or so many other people. And at the end of the day, I've had on over 300 various guests, creator or not, because there's so many people to talk to about whatever comes. There's no one topic to tie to, and that's probably the most fun thing about this is that I am free. I am free to go wherever, and so is my guest. So is my guest, and that's just a part of seeing where we go, how we start out, and where we end up. Because at the end of the day, there's always a conversation to have, and it could be about whatever. So there you go. But any help with the engagement factor on either the Rumble side or YouTube side is much appreciated. So any help with that would be good to go. And of course, Um, where to find me at? One second. Where to find me at is there. My all my links are in there, including my Rumble and YouTube one. So if you don't know where else to find me, just go to that one link. My link tree will have all the other links. I will say I encourage for content creators who have a lot of links to go to in their description, like tons and tons of links to go to. I encourage people to use simplifying tools like Linktree because there's other ones, but there's ones like Linktree that will help simplify all your list of links that you have to different places all in just one area. And it's a simplifying tool that will make it so much easier instead of people just like, okay, which one should I go to on this list? No, the list is inside that link, and it's not a big list for me, but for others it is. So go there. You'll see my other stuff, and I hope you'll enjoy the stuff I do. What's the other one? All right, I gotta copy paste. All right, first thing, another thing is I am part of Proton's partner program. For those who don't know what Proton is a privacy oriented company. I've had on many people, and including myself, have used Proton in some manner or form, whether it be the email, whether it be the VPN, or whatever. And I've been part of it since mid last year. Um, so what this is promoting their Proton Unlimited plan, which includes Proton Drive, Proton Pass, Proton Mail, Proton VPN, all the suite of things in one plan because you get a lot more with paid than free. But as it has it, they do offer for whatever the ones you try, whether it be the bundle, whether it be just one of the ones like the mail or whatnot. This will allow to use like one for 2 weeks free. So
Mhm.
if you want to give it a try for 2 weeks and then cancel, you know what? Be my guest. I'd rather you have the experience of the item, and if you enjoy it, you can continue on that path of paying for it. Or if not, that's okay too. At least you have a tool in your pocket that will be great to use. And believe you and me, I use it on a daily basis. And you once you hear those stories about a company getting hacked and the passwords getting leaked and all this stuff, uh, they have a lot of great tools that kind of help prevent that. So give them a look. If it's worth your time, great. If not, that's okay too. It's always there for you to give it a try. So there's that. Um, and of course, oops, that's no, don't want to be there. There we go. Of course, the other thing I promote was the last thing I promote because I don't promote very much. Is something I like to call biltong. Now, for those who don't know what biltong is a South African snack. It's a meat snack. Um, that's Angus, Wagyu beef, all that sort of stuff. It's like it's their form of beef jerky, but it's not beef jerky. Um, because if you were to go to buy store bought beef jerky, it's very unhealthy. This is much healthier. Um, but I actually had on the gentleman who owns the business. His name is Anton. He is actually from South Africa. Him and his wife run this business. It's in Texas, and it's very much just them running it. There's no like hundred of employees, whatever, running with it. It's just them and their kids running it, and it's made in America. So if you want to give it a look, there's a link right there. There's more. There are snacks and treats from the UK. There are snacks and treats from South Africa as well. So if you want to give it a look, it's right there for you. And if you do decide to buy something from it, you can use code DARA to save yourself 10%. I know 10% is not a whole lot, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that at least you're saving 10% and not like 0%. So you get something, for a little. So there you go. But anyway, that's all to promote. And it's always fun trying to figure out how to do that, but I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
Oh damn.
So,
Well, hopefully they never give you a Blue Chew ad to read.
oh yeah.
Those are fantastic. I'd love for it to be the case where the most prominent advertiser on Rumble is shelling Viagra.
I've
It'll
seen.
help
Well,
Rumble get it up.
yeah. It'll make them a stiff competitor.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. And we managed to stay above. Well, thankfully, we managed to stay above 10 Rumble viewers for you to make make that advert,
Oh no,
Dara.
the ones I read are they are ads. I haven't done any of the ad reads in for such a long
Oh,
time. Yeah.
oh, so it's a personal one.
Yeah, they well
Interesting.
because so the explanation is at least to kind of quickly go over it. So the Proton one was sort of they were promoting their Proton partner program on an X post I saw last year, and I was like, you know what, I already use this stuff, so I might as well try and see because I thought I wouldn't get in. I really did. I didn't think because you know how these companies they want affiliation with big numbers and all this stuff. You know, like Raid Shadow Legends and all this stuff. These things want big numbers, big audience, all that stuff. So I thought, you know what, it's just worth to put my name in the hat. We'll see what happens. So I did. I filled out all their information because you have to fill tax information. You have to do all this stuff. That's part of it. So I filled it all in, and I think it was no more than 24 to 48 hours after doing all that because it was over a weekend that I heard back from them saying, you're in. And I was caught off guard because I was in that still mental state of like, I don't have that big following or whatever. I don't think they'll let me in, but they did anyway. And so I just promote it on the basis of I use it. I'd rather promote something that I use that I know will be great for many people, especially in this day and age where people want to keep privacy and all that. And Proton does a pretty good job of that. But it's up to you to decide if that is the case. I can't
Mm.
force it on you. I just want to bring this thing forward that I believe will be the best for people because of my experience and from the other people I've heard who use it too. Now for the Biltong one, now this was a strange one, but it was certainly a strange occurrence. So the husband, his name is Anton or King of Biltong. He and his wife came to my stream from somewhere I don't know where, and they came into my stream one time and they said, "Hey, you know what? Would you like to try some of our stuff? Just send us your address through this email, and we can send something to you." And I was hesitant first because I was like, eh, but I gave it anyway later on just to kind of see about because I didn't know what biltong was. And so they sent me something, and I look, to be honest with you, I'm addicted to it. Okay, but
Mm.
but like sometime on, they gave me I think the missus reached out to me and said, "Would you like to have a link?" And I was like, I don't know, a code or whatever it was. And so that's how I have my code thing too. But even I use my code to save 10%. So that's how you know it's good.
Oh
Um,
my.
why not, right? If I can use it,
Goodness me. All for some long bitong.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, so they've been nice. And again, I had the husband on, great guy. They make this stuff. You have to air dry this stuff. They make it with some spices and whatnot. It's insane of how they do this, but they do buy American meat, except for the bison. The bison, he did say bison comes from Canada, so
Mm.
there's that. But regardless, they're great husband and wife with their kids, and they're running this company in America, and they really don't. They're really not like those big corporation things. It's really just them. It's really just
How do
them.
you like your bitong? Cooked.
Yeah. Well, I have mixed it in with my eggs before, but I mean it's good as is. Um, they have different ones, but the taste varies. I took it to a family event. Many of them didn't like it, so it is what it
I want my food medium rare. Well, dude, you clearly never have lived in a land where foot and mouth disease existed.
is.
You're having it well done or not at all. I don't
Yeah.
care if you have to chew through it for half an hour. Don't you have teeth in the United States? Goodness me. I'm telling you, if America ever had foot and mouth disease, no one would ever eat a hamburger again.
Well, I mean, technically, you do have something like that, but that's mostly because someone puts their foot in their mouth and then.
People could not believe that badgers infect cows, who then
Mm,
infect people with
mm,
foot and mouth disease that either kills them quickly
mm.
or in 50 years' time they die a debilitating death. That is foot
Oh,
and mouth disease, which is
yeah,
why everyone got scared of, oh, I don't want to eat processed beef. I don't want to eat beef at all. And of course, hamburgers, beef,
yeah.
that sort of thing. But I will point out that trust in our institutions is at an all-time low, and people are looking for choices. They're looking for alternatives, and I'm very grateful
Mm-hmm.
for that personally. I try to keep things as economical as possible, right?
Right.
And I think that's the way to go about it. Of course, people would disagree, but I know if I can save in a month, and I'm using American numbers here, if I
Right.
can save like $50 a month,
Mm-hmm.
that's like $600 a year. That's enough to, have a good Christmas, or you save that up. It's
Mm-hmm.
trying to get as much as you can from as little as you have that
Mm-hmm.
needs to be done, especially in these trying times. Because I don't think things are going to get any easier.
I
Personally,
Right, and that's understandable because things only appear to be going up, like food prices of food, the electricity for things and all that's, or petrol or gas, depending on where you're
hmm
from. But it only just seems that things keep going up. And I mean, if you were to look at decades and decades of time, you would see that things go up because, inflation and whatnot and all that bull crap. But it does seem like that things are just continually going up without an end of just dropping down. And groceries, and it maybe become harder to buy groceries. Like it's like, even for me as a single person, like if I get only the necessary items, and sometimes I don't, I get I get extra stuff I shouldn't, like candy and stuff. But if I were just to get the stuff that would be of benefit, then it'd still be around 40 to 50 bucks, depending on. So
hmm
families would probably be just much worse, probably double or triple that, and that's just insane. Um,
it's mental. It's mental, guys. Right? I have a budget.
mm,
I'm going to use American terms because it doesn't exactly cross over
right.
for other currencies. But I for a week to feed two people
Hmm.
spend about $60.
Okay, that's not bad.
Right. For gas, and I mean actual gas that you
Yeah.
have in your home, it's
Yeah.
about $45. For electricity, it's about $90.
Hmm.
That's a month. That's not a week. That's a
Right.
month.
Right.
Um, the rent's about five. It's about $500 a month, which is very cheap. It is very cheap.
Oh yeah.
Um, very cheap because we managed to get this place back when rents were guaranteed,
Mm,
right? That's almost unheard of in the United States, right?
pretty much.
But
Yeah.
our rent is guaranteed at a certain level
Hmm.
forever,
Wow.
forever, for as long as my father and myself live,
Hmm.
right? My father's 71, I am 26. So I'm
Hmm.
going to be paying the same level of rent until the day I die. And
Hmm.
the rent is about $500 a month. It might be a little less. And
Hmm.
it's a two-bedroom flat,
Hmm. Now,
right? So you'd be
right.
lucky to get that for a one-bed flat these
Yeah.
days.
Which I can imagine, because again, I have had several people on who are from the Europe area. Obviously,
Mhm.
I've had people from the Germany. I've had on.
Yep.
I've a few people. I've had Wendy. Wendy is from the Netherlands.
hmm
So that's so that it's off to the side of France, but it's still close to. And I've talked to people from Finland, from Norway, and from the UK as well, as, people who are have been in multiple times, like Abe and Jack Tarlad and Tommy and so many others. And my retrospect and also doing this too is also like in how people live in the variance against to where I live, because where I live retrospect to say someone like from the UK is very much a different life, because there are many different things, like the UK people drive on the left side of the road and Americans don't. I can't imagine, like, I think it was during the summer, right, that there was a newspaper that was put out where it was like, in the translated term, it was like 78 degrees in the UK, but it was something like some high Celsius, and it was very hot for you guys.
Oh.
But the learning difference is though is that because in the UK your homes are built to retain heat,
Yes.
obviously, but the issue of it is though is that during the summer it's not built to release that heat, and
Mhm.
so you have this situation where people are, you know, you have to keep the windows open or whatnot, or buy air cons as I believe they're called, um, because it's just one of those things. I From what I understood was that air cons were an expensive ordeal, and so did the electricity that came with it, because it's not it's not it's not as prominent as in the US, right? Like we have air conditioners.
Yes.
States like Arizona where people are living out in like triple digits, it's insane, okay?
Mm. Yeah.
110 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, nobody.
There was a situation where in the UK,
Mm,
home was like, no, not the home. The temperature was like 30 degrees Celsius, which is 90 Fahrenheit, right?
yeah.
Which is a standard US summer conditions, right?
Mhm, mm,
But then in the home, the insulated home, because they're
mm,
all insulated,
right.
you have a temperature reading 118.
Jeez. Oh man. Oh. Oh.
118 Fahrenheit,
Oh.
right? But basically, if you stayed in that home for a long period, you're dead.
Yeah. Jeez.
Dead. I think that's a thing a lot of Americans don't understand, especially about the UK,
Mm,
is because really, really hot summers
mhm,
were a rarity. They
mm,
were.
mhm.
Um, Now they're less of a rarity. They're more common.
Yeah.
And literally, uh, eh, anything above 70 Fahrenheit is potentially dangerous
Yeah.
because 70 Fahrenheit, 20 degrees. But
Mm,
in a well insulated home, that 70 Fahrenheit turns easily into 98,
yeah. I believe that.
easily,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. So if ever we had
Mm,
100 Fahrenheit plus,
mhm,
which did happen a few times. I think the summer of '76
mhm.
was one. There was also a heat wave. I think it was in 2003. People died.
Yeah.
People died of the heat wave. Some of them died outside
Right.
because of
Yeah.
sunstroke, but a
Yeah.
few died inside because it was like 100 Fahrenheit, but in the homes it was 120, 130.
Yeah.
People literally being cooked inside their own homes,
Mm-mm.
even with their windows open.
Yeah. And
And we're just not built to deal with that level of weather consistently,
mm. Well,
unfortunately.
right, and I think another part of it too was the humidity. Like the
Yep.
humidity played a big role in that too. And you guys are, like you stated, it used to be a rarity for the summers and stuff because it's usually wet, rainy, or cold. Somewhere in that field.
Mhm.
But with the prominent, like I think it was last year, with that article came out where it was saying like it's just 78 degrees and all that stuff. But the problem of it is though is that your I don't know if I say culture or the way the
Population.
homes, yeah, the way the homes are built in the UK, they're built
Mm.
for the specific geographical location versus to where in the US where the temperatures very very wildly all over the place. You can be in California and you can have a temperate amount, or you can be in Phoenix, Arizona, where the numbers are in the triple digits, which is like,
You guys have been going through like snowstorm periods, right? Temperatures going way down through the floor, which I
mm,
think it's you is it usually a rarity or is it common?
there have been they would call it a polar vortex, but I mean, I think this year was a bit of a surprise because last year there were still some spots where it was kind of like,
Mhm.
negative areas and stuff. Like, I don't think people understand that. Hey, Fatal Nexus, I don't think
Mhm.
people understand that from an American matter to a UK matter, negative anything under in a negative arena, the more negative it goes, the harder it could get to start your car. And
Yeah.
it's a chill that bites through you, right?
Mhm.
It bites through
I
your
know, I
clothes.
know, I know. Zero Celsius is 32 Fahrenheit. right?
Mm-hmm.
And once we hit that temperature in the UK, that's when warning signs start, because it's not difficult for the supply chain to collapse in the UK, right?
Wow.
Because we're not built to deal with disasters. We're not
Mm,
built to deal with earthquakes because we
mm,
don't live on a plate boundary. We're not designed to deal with heat waves because it's
mm.
not usually that hot.
Right.
And increasingly, we don't have the infrastructure to deal with excessive snow because it doesn't happen all that often anymore.
Right.
In the US, it's more of a different story,
Yeah.
but the coldest it got from what I saw was -15 Fahrenheit,
Mm.
which
Oh
is
yeah.
-26 degrees. That is Arctic level conditions. And recently,
Mm.
also, Iceland was warmer than Florida. And I'm thinking to myself, Trump wanted Greenland. Well, boy, is he fucking getting it.
Yeah.
You
He make
wanted Greenland? Here it is in all of its glory. And in
yeah.
some parts of the US, the trees are blowing up because it was so cold.
Yes, I did see that.
Infrastructure was collapsing.
Yeah.
Have people died during this?
Well, to give context to like things shutting down, there are places in the United States like Louisiana and
Mm,
Texas and all that. They are not used to that kind of weather very often. Like I
mhm,
think there was a few years back where they talked about like how Texas got hit by a big winter storm and it basically shut them down. Like they couldn't
yep.
get out of their homes. They didn't have the trucks and stuff. Now I did see this year. I did see that there were trucks and stuff salting the highways and whatnot in
Mhm.
Texas. So they are starting to get some of that because it doesn't happen very often. But when it does happen, they just don't have like Louisiana, Missouri, all of them. They don't have
Yeah,
that kind of
the entire.
infrastructure.
From what I heard in regards to Texas, it was snowing in Texas
Yes.
a few years back, and the
Yeah.
power system collapsed.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. It was I think they were showing like a picture of their a windmill was frozen.
Oh,
Um,
God.
no, I
Well,
that's
that's
been a while.
one of the biggest states in the Union. Talk
Mm,
about a national embarrassment. If it happens to, say, the UK, haha, you laugh at it, oh, the UK sucks, that sort of thing, right? We've come to expect that, right?
right.
But for one of the strongest states in the Union to be
Mm.
crippled by a snowstorm is a national embarrassment. Okay?
Right. And that's understandable, but it should be made mention that like with what you said of how summers used to be a rarity for you, in
Hmm,
essence it was a rarity for Texas to get snow because it's just near to the equator, right? Like Florida's near to more near to the equator,
yes.
but that heat would be there. So for them to get snow would be a rarity, like your summers would be a rarity. But now that's become a more prominent issue, now they have to start thinking about having that infrastructure and basically Louisiana and Missouri and all of them, they just don't have that because they don't get it often. No different than when you guys would get summer and you have to do the air cons and all this stuff. You're getting something that you usually wouldn't get before, and I think that's the point of like it's a slow moving thing that people are going to have to catch up to because it's not going to be like normal. I think when people think of like normal weather, they think of what's been with them for like a decade. But I think people need to understand that the weather is always changing, the climate always changes with it, and so you're going to have this retrospect where your winters are not going to be the winters you had when you were a kid, or the summers you had as a kid are not going to be there when you're an adult. So there are things that people are going to have to understand is like you're going to have to learn how to adapt in the best way possible,
Oh, yeah.
or at least in a reasonable, right? Because not everyone can afford the best. In a reasonable way, you can do it, but that goes for Texas as much as it goes for you people in the UK because I can't imagine that um, people can stand that kind of heat in such a home wise feature
Mm.
and expect that next year it's going to be different. No, you're going to have to start learning how to live in that process because it's I just don't see that changing back as it were
I,
anytime soon.
I'll tell you this. I think I can speak for the UK and the US.
Mm,
Large scale infrastructure change isn't going to happen. We practically live in museums at
yeah.
this point.
Yeah.
right? I live in a home in a flat, right?
Mm. Mm.
Old miner's flat that was made back in the late 40s, early 50s as part of an industrial expansion program. I practically live in a museum,
Right.
right? I live in the structure of a bygone age.
Mm.
I describe the land that I live in as a museum because
Yeah.
it's a relic of a bygone era. And
Right.
unfortunately, the same is true for most of the United States. I mean, you guys
Mm.
haven't updated your railroad system since the Civil War, while the Chinese and the Japanese are making trains that can go as fast as planes.
Yeah.
Well, propeller planes, at the very least.
Yeah. Yeah. At least.
Mm.
But no, it's. I mean, again, when we come to like what happened when COVID happened, like you began to see what the supply chain looked like, and it is fragile as fudge.
Yes,
Like like if it took something that was indiscriminately just a dumb thing anyway, but understandable to some parts. If it took something like COVID to get the supply chain to be as wavy as it was, I can't imagine what, throwing winter, a season into that or something to that effect. Yes, all our systems are pretty much on a fragile basis. We're like on the edge of a knife. We don't know, what way the end goes. You don't know, but I mean, you're right in the sense of like we live on. It's not as antiquated as saying like the telegram, but I mean, it's antiquated enough that you start to worry of like even a power shutdown. We've all become way too reliant on the electricity we get from whatever company we buy it from. When that shuts down and you don't get it back, you're in for a rough time, and a lot of people rely on that. N-
exactly.
Luxury mostly, but there are people who have machines and stuff that are for medical that rely on that, and without it.
Well, fundamentally, it's getting to a point in the Western world where we're living in the wrong century. It's not the 20th century anymore. It's the 21st century, new
Mm,
century, mindset.
mm,
Unfortunately, we are being led by people who have one foot in the grave almost universally
mm,
in that respect. And from my perspective,
mm,
number one, cost of living has to come down.
mm,
Inflation has to be annihilated, right? In fact, so much so we need a dose of deflation. It's
mm,
far rarer than inflation. In fact, arguably it's more dangerous than inflation. That's why
mm,
it's so much rarer. But we need a dose of deflation. We need a strong currency. Strong people have strong currency. And we need to, in my view, get back to basics.
mm,
Okay? We need to tear apart all the regulations. You know, on average for an average American citizen
mm,
going about their daily business,
mm.
commit 3 felonies a day
I've heard that. Yeah.
because the U.S. legal system is so complicated, practically legislated everything,
Mm,
which is unbelievable. I'm sure the same is true of most Western countries. We need to get back to basics. You know, the U.S. didn't have its own independent currency system until 1862.
mm.
The American dollar was not formalized until the middle of the Civil War to stop trade between the warring North and South.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The American dollar was literally born in blood, just
Yeah.
like the American nation was born in blood.
Mm.
It's that's why I'm like, you guys, and I say you guys, we guys in the West, we can't live in peace. We lose the peace. Every time we're at peace, we lose. But every time we're in a conflict, we seem to win. Maybe that's why we always have endless wars, because it's the only place we can be that we win. It's terrifying.
Well, and I think part of that too is the money to be made out of that destruction.
Mm, yeah,
Right? Like companies, big companies make a lot of money out of the bullets and tanks and all the stuff that are made for it. But I do think there's that sentiment of like sometimes some people just can't leave in the form of peace because they either a form of antsiness or something like that, that they can't take that uh, regarding. But I think, in a sense, I think all nations to some degree are born out of blood, because you don't get to some you don't always get through things peacefully. Like, I'm pretty sure people can point to the Indians and all that stuff, or
Mm,
the big wars that the previous UK fought with Vikings and all those things. There was some part of
yeah.
blood that was involved. No country is free from that. There is no country that is free from blood being spilled, because it's been spilled all over the place.
Yet we try to enforce a worldwide system in place where we try our best to avoid conflict,
Mhm,
right? That's why nations' borders don't change.
mhm,
I mean, the natural evolution of humanity can be seen through the rise and fall of sovereign states.
mhm.
But that just hard stopped after the Second World War because it became too dangerous to do that in the era of nuclear weapons.
Oh yeah.
From my perspective, looking at this situation, we need to go back to basics. We need to sort out problems in our own backyard before we sort out everyone else's problems, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's how we got to go about things. There's no point liberating a foreign country if the cost of living is completely out of control. There's
Right.
no point, protecting, for example, someone else's borders when your own borders are not protected.
Mhm.
That's the crazy thing about our existing institutions.
Mhm.
They have the means to get everything right,
Right.
but at every turn they get it wrong. And it's not because they're stupid.
Right.
It's
Well,
because it's deliberate.
it can be reasonable to say that you do have some stupid people within higher points, but it's more of like people being put in place where they shouldn't be. Unfortunately, um, I,
True.
I think many would agree that your prime minister has been put in a place he shouldn't be.
My goodness, man. Never let a legal eagle run a country because he will run a country to the ground.
Right.
Judges, right? Judges, lawyers, they're not meant to run the land.
Mm.
They're meant to study the law of the land, not become the law of the land, okay?
Right. Right.
The idea of the judiciary,
Mm.
even in a political capacity, we're running a country,
Yeah.
if maybe as custodians,
Yes.
right?
Right.
But certainly not in a democratic system can you have the judicial branch, anyone from the judicial branch,
Mm-hmm.
running for office. Because it fuses together institutions that naturally hate each other.
Right. I mean, you have to thanking the Schoolhouse Rock. Like, it is on our end. It's basically a three-ring circus where there are three separate areas. But
Mm,
majority of the time, you've seen this sort of thing where decisions from the Supreme Court can be made
mm.
as of like making law, when making law is based upon the legislative, which is supposed to be. That
Well,
I mean, those
let's
are the
put it
rules.
this way, Dara. Do you think Americans would be happier if the Supreme Court ran the United States?
Phew, I think there would be some people who would be, and other people who would not, because as we saw with, say, like the whole COVID stuff, right, and deciding
Mm.
whether you would have to get the shot in order to work. I would think a lot of people would be grateful that it didn't work out to the point that these companies would force that kind of shot on you, where many people, to some degree, after all the studies that have come out, to see that it wasn't a good idea. Um,
Mm.
but I also think, again, like saying, there are probably many people who would agree with that, because it's just a much easier, smoother process. Let this one thing be the judge, jury, and executioner, so I can get back to doing my thing, and that's the
And even the idea of
mhm,
judicial members being politically appointed
right,
is a conflict of interest. Supposedly, you're supposed to have three branches of government independent of one another: the
right,
government, the executive, the legislature, which is either the Senate, the House, or in the UK's case, the Parliament, and you have
parliament,
the
yeah.
judiciary, which is the courts,
Yes,
right?
hmm
And they never connect. They're supposed to be separate entities. If you're going to have a truly open, honest, and transparent society, the three branches need to be separate. We don't have that. We don't
Mm,
have that in the UK. We don't have
mm,
that in the US,
uh,
right? In order to actually run a country in the US, you need the executive, president, and
mm,
you need control of the legislature, which
mm,
is, Congress, Senate, House,
yeah.
and then with that, you can control the judiciary, which is the courts,
Mm,
highest being the Supreme Court.
mm,
When they die, it's a political appointment. So in a
right.
sense, the only way to actually run a country is to
Mm,
control all the branches, which
mm,
essentially makes you a tyrant. But you're elected,
yeah.
so you're an elected tyrant,
Right, but
essentially.
essentially, because I mean, you have to earn the vote. I mean, I guess some people could point to the example of the new New York mayor and how
Mm-hmm.
the people voted based upon the promises that were given to them by the
Yep.
new New York mayor. But the thing of it is that you you people can say all the niceties they want or you want to hear in order to get the vote, but afterwards, once they have that congregated power given to them by the people, unless they do something super drastic to get them voted out, they can be these tyrants while
I,
presumably being under the law of the voting and all that stuff.
I'll tell you this, Dara,
Mm,
right, as we hit the second hour,
yeah.
quite simply. Ultimately, people get what they vote for,
Mm,
and I think people want to be lied to because that's what they vote for, time and time again. If there was a candidate out there
mm,
who's running for office, made it clear, vote for me, I'm going to aim to get rid of the budget deficit in the say the city. Let's use New York as an example because
right.
they do have a budget crisis.
Oh yeah.
You vote for me, I will address the budget deficit. Yeah, we're going to have public spending cuts, higher tax rises. We're going to get this deficit down, and once it's down, we're going to aim to be a debt-free New York. No one would vote for it because taxes would go up, which means you have to pay more,
Mm,
and services get cut, which means you get less.
mm,
You're not going to vote for that. But that's
yeah.
exactly what New York City needs in order to get rid of its budget deficit, slowly get rid of its debt, and without debt and with a budget surplus, things can actually get done. No
Yeah.
one's going to vote for that, which means people get what they vote for, which means the reason New York City is a pile of poo is because the people of New York City collectively made that decision.
Mm. That and there are people in the streets actually pooing in it. So there's
Yeah.
there's a,
And the
there's
same
a
and the same is true for the United States. You look
yeah.
at the budget deficit. The last time the United States had a budget surplus, it was in the late Clinton administration.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
Right?
Yeah.
And ever since, the budget deficit has been at various levels. Its highest was during the coronavirus crisis,
Mm,
and the U.S. is entering a debt spiral as a result. What you guys need is a government that, unfortunately, is going to have to cut public spending, raise taxes,
mm,
and it's not going to be popular.
mm, yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to get in a debt spiral, your country will go bankrupt, and it will make the Great Depression look like a golf match.
Yeah. Well, and to be honest, if people want the change they keep asking upon, they really have to be the ones to make it. And
Yeah.
a lot of the people within the U.S. and also within any other country is that they're not going to give up the conveniences and life they have in order to fight the hard fight in order to have a country, which is
And look at
basically
Well,
good.
for example, look at defense spending. I mean, Trump wants to increase defense spending from $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion US dollars. That adds another $500 billion to the US budget deficit
You know,
per term. It's either per year or per term. That is, sorry to say this, especially for YouTube, that is suicidal.
yeah,
The US should be halving its defense spending to
yeah,
reduce the budget deficit because the second highest amount of funds is
mm,
being spent on debt interest,
yeah,
which is unbelievable. You guys, and it's not just you guys, but a lot of nations need to realize you need to cut public spending, you need to raise taxes, and you need to balance the budget. Otherwise, you're going to go bankrupt
Hmm. Yeah,
and everything will collapse.
it's the unfortunate truth of what people argue upon, but my point is basically, if people in the US want their government to be what they want it to be, then they're going to have to start getting up off their butt and start doing something about it, rather than letting someone come along and say, vote for me, I'll make that change, and then realizing later on it's most likely not going to get the change they were voting on. So that's another thing too, and again, it can coincidentally go with along with the UK as well, and
Yep.
what they put themselves through. Obviously you can't do much about the monarchy, except that's a different story. But like with the prime minister in general,
Mm.
I mean, it's been a waffling time with how it's gone from what Teresa, whatever her face was, then to, or Boris, then Teresa, then all this stuff, and I think. I think it really does have to come back to the tar and feathering.
We've
To
had 6 prime ministers in 16 years. Each one of them has been feckless, right? Even though the first government's attempt at eliminating the budget deficit, they
mm,
nearly achieved it, but they went through an era of austerity,
mm,
spending cuts, tax rises. They were on the verge of a budget surplus.
mm,
Then the election came, then Brexit happened,
mm,
then, that became the topic for years,
yep,
and the budget deficit never got crushed.
mm,
In fact, the budget deficit supercharged during COVID. And it's
mm,
great to see Maverick. And that's the thing. The main objective for the past 16 years has fundamentally failed, which means it's harder for England because, in the event of the UK just collapsing, England would have to pick up the burden. I
mm,
mean, for Scotland, if Scotland was its own country,
yeah,
it would have an easier time. Irish would love reunification. They'd celebrate that. For Wales, though, if Wales was an independent country, it
yeah,
would literally start brand new. Brand new institutions, brand new legal system. It would be a legal eagle's wet dream. Write your own legal system for
right,
Wales because it doesn't have one of its own. It's like if you are under 60, you have to pay 80% income tax.
mm,
Doesn't matter. You can just have that.
mm,
No pensions for you. Children have to hop to school like crazy laws because the Welsh don't
right,
have their own legal system because
right,
the English gobble it all up.
yeah, along with them, into them,
Exactly.
I
Gone to a
just
point in the Victorian times where only
right,
5,000 people could speak Welsh.
wow,
They nearly annihilated the entire culture, and that's why the Welsh culture is so intrinsically linked to the language because it's the only thing they have left.
mm,
Every norm, value, custom systematically purged.
mm,
This is over the course of hundreds of years, folks.
right,
It didn't happen overnight, but
yep,
yeah, Wales was the first colony of England,
right.
quite frankly.
Yeah, and if you know your history, you know how it
Exactly.
goes. I just liked your comment on the Irish. That was
It would. I know a lot of Irish Americans who would celebrate. It wouldn't be St. Patrick's Day; it would be St. Patrick's Year if Ireland reunified. Right? They probably all go back to Ireland and celebrate and
yeah,
be absolutely insane.
right. No, I
But
just
that
find
would
it
only ever happen if the United Kingdom collapsed.
right. No,
Because if only the UK holds a claim to Northern Ireland, England doesn't. Scotland and Wales certainly don't. It's
mm,
it's it's only the UK.
mm,
So in the event of the UK collapsing, the Irish can take their claim because they have the only claim.
there you
And a
go.
lot of Irish Americans who sponsored terrorism, because they did, would celebrate the fact,
Mm.
especially Joe Biden, who is
Yeah.
an Irish American himself. My goodness, and it was so uncomfortable. He went when he was president. He went to the UK. He
Mm.
went to Northern Ireland for a day,
Hmm.
and then for the rest of the week, he went to the Republic of Ireland. Literally, heroes welcome. He's an
Wow.
Irish American who considers the occupation of Northern Ireland to be illegal.
Right. Oh, the fun of
Yep.
political geopolitical matters. But anyway, it is a little past up. It is a little
Yeah, it's
past
all
the
right.
hour. But
It's all right.
what happens is we're gonna do what we did before. We'll promote our stuff and whatnot. But we'll start winding down from there because I have to start getting ready for tomorrow and so forth and so on. And my guest is pretty late where he is, so I need to start getting off, or otherwise he's gonna fall asleep on screen. I don't want to do that. But anyway, there's your link right there, good sir. If you want to promote
You.
your stuff, the floor is yours.
Well, you can check me out over at the Dignified Cartoon Gentleman on YouTube and Rumble. We appreciate everyone's support. Thank you all very much for watching this show. I won't keep Dara too long because he has another guest. And thank you very much for having me, my good man. Next network show will be tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern, not Eastern, 10 p.m. UK, 5 p.m. Eastern.
Mm.
Cancel this podcast exclusively on Rumble.
Oh, nice. I'm glad the network thing is working out for all of you,
Mhm.
because I know it's Dash and Jace
Yep.
and
Elzo and Triton and Stark of Iron and so many people.
yeah,
So
yeah,
many.
yeah. With the lady, was it 40K?
Oh yes,
What?
she was part of the network for a time.
Okay,
However, her schedule went insane.
yeah, that's
So,
understandable.
but it was for a time.
Yeah, well, that's understandable, but you have a lot of people part of it, and it's
Mhm.
certainly an interesting thing. But you certainly help keep it together. I should say at least. But no, good on you guys for doing all that. But yes, again, his links will be down below. I'll make sure to get his. I'll try to get the YouTube one redone because it has the at dignified instead of just all the gobbledygook like that. So I'll try to
Mhm.
get that one redone. And if you don't mind, give me your Rumble one. I'll add it to the list so I'll make sure that both are on there because I do
Okay.
want to be able to
Okay.
find you
I'll
at your
I'll
places.
grab it now. I'll
Yeah.
grab it now.
But beyond that, again, his links will be both on the Rumble side and YouTube side because I streamed to both arenas. And so thank you again, good sir. Good show, guys. Oh, thank you for being here. Thank you guys for being here. But we're not. We're almost there. We're almost there. But for my end of things, whether you're on the Rumble side or YouTube side, doesn't matter which side you're on. I'm on both. Uh, if you wouldn't mind leaving a like, hold on. If you wouldn't mind leaving a like, sharing the content, leaving a comment or follow, anything that helps with the engagement factor is uh, much help because not only is it helping being seen more, like all content creators want to be to this degree, but it also helps in
Well,
having other.
I sent it to you on the Rumble Studio thing. Yeah, rumble.com,
Okay,
Dignified Cartoon Gentleman. There
I
we go.
will. I will try to get out there. But it also helps with having other people on, like Digni, like Jace from Control the Podcast.
Cancel.
Cancel that podcast. Let's see. Dash, I've had on Dash before.
Mm.
Um, I've had on Tony Stark before a while back. I've had on again over 300 various guests I've had on, and I always look forward to any new people that come on, and always look forward to bringing people back because there's always more to talk about. Because it never just stops at one thing. There's so much to talk about, and it doesn't have to be stuck to culture war stuff. It can just be about, oh, look at the bluebird you saw. Yeah, that was pretty great. Just stuff like that. But any help
Yep.
with the engagement factor on either end is much appreciated. Thank you for that. Let me copy that. And,
Oh.
let's see. There we go. There's that. I need to put that off to the side so I can keep that for later. Um, crap. I gotta find a. Oh, there we go. I'll use that. There we go. Save that for later. Thank you, Roadkill. The other part of it too is, well, where is my? Oh, this is my link tree link right here. Again, all my links are in there, including the Rumble and YouTube one. So if you want to find out where else I'm at, the links are in there. I always try to at least leave some path of communication open, whether it be email, Discord, or X, because X is mostly where I do my communication. But all my links are in there, and of course, I am part of Proton's partner program. I am promoting um, Proton itself. And this is a Proton Unlimited plan, but they are offering through this link. They are offering 2 weeks, either to the bundle or to the separate items that are in that bundle, either to the Proton Mail, Proton Drive, Proton Pass, Proton VPN. Again, if you never used Proton before, they do offer free accounts, but you get more with the paid versions. Of course, obviously that's how it is. But they are offering 2 weeks free, and so that will allow you to try the full paid scale without paying it for it for at least 2 weeks. So you can give it a look right there, follow the link. And again, I use it on a daily basis. I have talked to over, I think, a dozen people at this point about using Proton, and they've all had really great um, positive reviews to it. So if you aren't sure, just give it a look, and if not, that's okay too. It's just a tool in your pocket for later. So thank you much for that. And of course, I also promote Biltong USA. Husband and wife run this business. What Biltong is, it is a South African snack. It's meat snack. I know, but they use American beef, other than bison, which is Canadian beef, but they use American beef to make the biltong, which is just air dried beef. But it's made in America by this family sorts, and they are great people. I've had on Anton, who is the owner of the business, great guy from South Africa himself, and I've had many. I've had a few South African people on, so they love it. I enjoy it. I'm actually waiting on my order that was coming tomorrow. Because of the weather, it's been difficult because all the snowstorms and stuff. So it's been a while. But anyway, you can go to that website right there. You can look around what they have. They have more than biltong. They have sweets and treats from the UK. They have sweets and treats from South Africa. They have so much more. And if you do decide to buy something, you can use code DARA to save yourself 10%. I know for some people, 10% isn't a lot, but you know what? 10% is better than 0%. And it can go a long way. So there's that. And thank you for that as well. Let's see what we got. Okay. So again, for my where's my calendar at? Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, I will have on Slay of Slay Every Game. He will be on tomorrow. Uh, will be interesting. I know he's part of your group, so I just remember seeing there. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that goes. But I am looking forward to it, as I always look forward to the people who come on DaraChat for whatever reason, whether they're new or returning, doesn't matter. What matters is that they're all welcome here to have a conversation about whatever, and that's what I do. I have conversations about whatever. Some people find that a bit difficult to understand, but I'll keep repeating it nonetheless. And also, the last thing I do with my guests before we ride off in the sunset, of course, is what I talked about earlier. My thing called the questions from a hat. And Digni, what that means is that you, my guests, get 2 freebie questions from the hat. Obviously, of course, like I said earlier, you can pay to have more questions pulled out of the hat. Of I'm only monetizing Rumble. I'm not monetizing YouTube, but maybe that will change. I don't know. But regardless, the point of the matter is, though, is if you want more than the 2, you can pay any amount of Rumble Rant in order to get another one. And I mean any amount. I've had people pay me $1 before, so it's not that difficult. But regardless, we're going to start with the 2. And are you ready, good sir?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for the questions. Go ahead, right ahead.
All right, all right. First question right here. Let's see what it says. All right. First question is, what's your favorite type of music? Is what it asks.
Oh my. I like some rock music, I do.
Is it just rock music?
Oh yeah, man.
All right, all right. I thought it'd be like more, because I know some people like many different genres. So, but if you like rock music, that's not bad. Is it
Hmm?
new or classic?
Oh, new. New.
What what band would you consider new in that regard?
Oh, well, a recent band. Well, they've been around for, I'd say recent, about more than a decade. Sabaton. That heavy
Oh, that's right,
metal
Sabaton.
or
Yeah,
rock.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, rock and roll mixed with some heavy metal.
yeah. They did
They've
the.
taken a lot of inspiration from bands over the years, and I enjoy their music quite a lot.
Aren't they? Aren't they? Netherlands or I swear
Sweden.
Sweden. That's right. This yeah, I thought they were Swedish. So well, that's not bad. I know they've been around. At least I know one of their songs have been used for as like a Trump anthem. So,
Yes.
but it's not the act. Those aren't the actual words that people sing with it. So it's
No,
pretty close though.
they took a song paying tribute to a Swedish monarch
Yeah.
and applied it to an American president.
Hey, what can I say? Americans sometimes take culture in their own hands to some degree, or someone else's culture in their own hands. Um, but here's question number two, and again, if people want more than those two, you gotta give one right. If not, this will be the last question to ask. Question number two is: what does freedom of speech mean to you?
It means speaking your mind, quite frankly. Freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of expression, opinion, publication, that sort of thing. To me, freedom of speech is not just speaking your mind, but really it goes into thought, opinion, expression, and most importantly, publication. I think freedom of publication is the end result of freedom of speech.
Mm,
Because without freedom to publicize your thoughts, do you truly have free speech? The
mm,
answer is no, you don't.
yeah, yeah. If you are able to publicize your thoughts on things, like a government system or whatever could shut you down, like the KGB. I have a government can KGB your stuff because you're speaking
That's
out against them.
not
Go
just
ahead.
governments, but also private corporations, folks. This idea of corporations being protected from free speech violations is completely absurd, especially when you consider the freedom of speech, freedom of thought,
Mm-hmm.
freedom of thought, then freedom of speech, then freedom of opinion,
Mm-hmm.
then freedom of expression, which leads to freedom of publication.
Right.
All all American citizens have the right to freedom of publication, and
Mm-hmm.
all peoples who use American platforms have the right to freedom of publication. All of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's certainly it's certainly on the macro scale of it. It certainly is something that does get taken granted for at times, especially when people don't understand that in the especially in the United States, where I've talked to someone who um, who is a lawyer for their daytime job, where certain areas of the United States have rules against free speech in some manner, dependent on municipality, locality, all that stuff. So, yeah, no, it that is a great point to put out for freedom of speech, and I guess in my sense, for people like yourself who live in areas where that's not much of a thing of sorts, it's much more treasured because you understand the value of why it exists, and
Mm,
then you see people take it for granted. Then you're like, you give up such treasure for such foolishness, and
of
you end
course,
up, yeah, and you end up with
because freedom of
garbage.
speech is freedom of thought,
Mm,
freedom of opinion, freedom of expression, freedom of publication. All
mm,
of those things are free speech, whether it's from your mouth or in written form or in the airwaves or on the internet.
mm,
So
yeah.
that's a thing people need to consider. If you don't have freedom of publication, you don't have freedom of speech at all.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And careful what you take for granted. But
Mhm.
regardless, that is the end of the show, of course. And of course, I'd like to thank all those in chat, whether on the Rumble side or YouTube side. Thank you all for being here. You are all appreciated, and know that being part of this, you're part of something much bigger, because later on, someone's going to come along and they're going to see how you guys were thinking. And that's the important part, is that they saw you as you are, during as you are, rather than something made up and constricted by masks and stuff. And a big thank you to the big man himself, Digni, for coming on. Obviously, of course, Rumble Studio is not like StreamYard, where if you don't have a camera on, you don't have your profile picture up doing an avatar pulse. But maybe that'll change with Canvas 2.0. I don't know. At the end of the day, though, you thank you, sir, for coming on, and you are always welcome to come back, of course, because I do try to invite people back. So thank you, sir, and much appreciated for all your perspective on all things we've
Thank
talked
you.
about today.
Thank you. It was great to be on. Like the
Mm.
stream. Share it too.
I feel like that could be a sea shanty at a certain point. But
Okay.
yo ho, like and subscribe.
My goodness, I'm giving Dar ideas. Hey, look, I think we've done very well for a show where Dar is having a schizophrenic episode. I think we're doing very well. I think we did very well.
We certainly broke the thermometer on that one. But anyway, tomorrow again with Slay at 7 p.m. Eastern. So don't forget that. I'll make sure to put out the links. I always put out the links for tomorrow the day before, so keep an eye out for that. And again, see you all tomorrow. And of course, I end the show with One Day with You by Pogo. Have a great rest of your night, and I shall see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go.
Show.